Howdy, folks. Windy City Thetan Watch. We're in the studio tonight, and we're going to cover several videos from yesterday. Yesterday, we had audio problems up the wazoo, and I really apologize for that. Still haven't figured out why it was acting up so much. I didn't change anything on the videos, but we'll go over that. So we're going to see a grandmother come and see her staff member there. We're going to see the staff member that we oftentimes see dropping their child off at the org. We're in that video, which I don't have it on YouTube, but I have it on the body camera, so we'll see that. We also saw that there's an older son, apparently, and again, I'm guessing that it's a son there. Um, we'll see the jerk that told Korn that she needed more Scientology because of what she was chalking on the sidewalk, and didn't have any issue with child auditing or child abuse. And we'll see another interaction with him. This afternoon this morning was Chicago Marathon, and after that, on my way home, I went by the org and was able to pull down the shades again. Yesterday, after lunch, there was some kind of filming going on. So I'm sure they were trying to do some kind of PR stunt with the folks. And when I showed up after lunch, they had to pull the blinds very quickly, and they rushed all the people that were lined up because they wanted to give the impression that people were lining up out the door to get into Scientology. So let me play the intro, and then we'll get started.
We won't let them take control. Guard the streets and guard your soul. Windy City Thetanwatch, standing tall, we won't be caught. No call gonna claim our town. In the breeze we bring them down.
Howdy! Thanks for thank you all for being here. I see Mama Opa here. Thanks for showing up. I will say that a lot of my mods happen to be in the hurricane belt, and while they're fine, they still are cleaning up. And there's again, I'm very happy that they're taking care of themselves and taking care of their homesteads rather than coming here and helping me. So best wishes to those folks. Thanks, Mama Olfa, for being here. Tonight, we're going to go over a few videos from yesterday. And I'm going to kind of lead you into another one. Like when I left the org late yesterday afternoon, we just went on a walk, and we chatted for about an hour, and it was really enjoyable. There were a lot of former Scientologists, right? We heard from Dylan quite a bit. We heard from Laura FM quite a bit. And I have some good news. Laura's going to join me on Tuesday night, and we're just going to chat. I hate the idea that we say interview. I don't think that that's really my forte, but I want to have a conversation with Laura and say, hey, what were your experiences as a Scientologist, and me as a never in learning from the former Scientologists? Am I doing you am I doing you well by the way I protest in this process? So look forward to that. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. It's free. If you like the video, then please hit the like button. If you don't like it, then hit the unlike twice, and we'll be very happy with that. So yesterday, I got out there kind of early, maybe 10 o'clock. We went through the farmer's market, didn't see anybody really in the farmer's market. Then we headed over to the org, and we were able to shut their blinds. Now, I had to restart the stream twice because I had been away for a while. You'll hear from on the video. I was running through Kentucky with a bunch of my friends. We were doing a 200-mile relay, had a lot of work to do. Some of you are already hearing I'm going to be moving soon, so I won't be staying in Chicago. I'll still come back here to visit Chicago, but I won't live in Chicago, and I won't live near an org. So I have to get better about being an in-studio person, but I will always support Howdy Style Audit. Good to have you in here. I will always support the protesters, right? And if your enemy is Scientology, then you're my friend, is kind of the way that I look at it. And I want to be as helpful and supportive as possible in that endeavor. So what we're going to see first here is I am approaching the org at, it's got to be about 10:30 at this point in time. And we are going to see some blind tech.
always prefer being out here. I think it's, I do think that I'm a thorn in their side, and they're very, very unhappy when I'm around. As we get here, so I'm looking in the window.
I'm happy with how
Nobody
well I can
really
see
here.
through
I'm
the
not seeing
windows now.
anybody in the cafeteria. We've got one person at the admin desk. But again, as usual, the cult is empty. Ooh, they're painting next door, so I've got an awful lot of paint thinner on the nose.
Today, it takes a while, and somebody, I think it might have even been Style Audit, but somebody said this is the Tom Cruise look, right?
So
Got
the person
black
at the
turtleneck
desk
on.
looks very intent on a book. He's got a book that's open. This is the younger male. He, more often than not, he's going to go to the front door.
I'll wait. I'll push him forward a little bit until he sees me.
You guys can't really see the glare there as well.
So he's finally realized that I'm there, so he's heading over to the front door.
Anything to share about your church? Nothing positive about the cult of Scientology? You're just here to take everybody's money, work with the child abuse, the elder abuse, the human trafficking?
So just a show of hands, who was surprised that we didn't get a response from this young man in regards to telling us what the great things about the Church of Scientology, or what Scientology has to offer us? And then he's going to go ahead and do the blinds real quick.
And he should be up to the, he'll pull down the windows too, because the cult of Scientology doesn't like the light of day. So, right, he's gone over here and started these blinds. Remember, it's important that we close up the retail spaces. If you're somebody who lives anywhere near one of these testing centers or ideal orgs, just walking by with a camera is going to be able to make them close their doors, right? This looks very uninviting. Nobody's going to want to come in here and say, oh, this looks really intriguing. Let me go see what they're all about.
Folks, I'm really serious about this, that it really is this easy to get them to shutter their windows. I will tell you that I have been here before, and I didn't even live stream. Sometimes I would static stream, and other times I would just hold my phone up because I walk through this neighborhood fairly frequently. I will hold my phone up. I don't necessarily have to be streaming. They don't know I'm streaming. They don't know I'm not streaming. The people inside of this building typically can't watch my streams, right? That they're going to be forbidden from watching YouTube in general. So if you just walk up to an org and hold your phone up to the window, I'm really confident that they're going to come forward and they're going to close themselves up. And as I've said many times on the stream, I don't want them to have a retail presence. This is in a very heavy foot traffic area. You're in a dense area of both residents and college students who have dormitories all over this area. Within 4 blocks, you're going to see 5 different dormitories. The one that's right next door is actually one of the smaller dormitories. There's much larger dormitories or student housing, however you want to phrase that, in this area. Nothing but residential in this area and businesses on that street. When they have these blinds closed, it stops them from being a retail presence, right? It makes them look very uninviting to the public. And even if they do have a coupon that says come in for a free personality test or come and see Dianetics, whatever they've got in their flyer mechanism, when you come to a building that has its shades drawn and its windows frosted, let me just ask you, what other businesses do you know of that have to darken their windows and have to darken their doors? Right? There is one specific industry that has to do this, I think, nationwide. Right? If I went to a gentleman's club, there are no windows at a gentleman's club. There are no doors open at a gentleman's club. Right. So that's what I want to make them look like, that their idea that they have to be very, very uninviting to this process. And I'm telling you, if you live anywhere near an organization, you just have to walk by, you just have to put the camera in the window, and they're going to close up shop. Right. And that's really what we're looking for. And I apologize. I want to stop people from getting sucked into Scientology. I'm not really that effective at pulling people out of Scientology. I want to stop people from joining Scientology or or investing in or going inside of Scientology. They're going to, again, pull the shades down quite a bit. I am going to then walk around the city for a little while, seeing if I can find a body router. And about 45 minutes later, I come back to the org.
Oh, got one going in.
So that guy, it turns out he's a driver. It looks like he's just driving.
So they think that it was okay to put the shades back up.
Look how many people are in there now. There's 3 people at the administrative desk. There are a couple in the lunch.
So now we've got several more people in there.
A couple people right
These
here.
are new faces, right? I don't recognize this one. Anything positive to share about your church? Is there nothing positive about the cult of Scientology? It's
Later
not good
on,
enough
we're
to
gonna
just be a business selling books?
Oh, let me do this. Sorry, I'm talking over myself. Later on, we're going to see that woman get into a car with Florida license plates. Again, if I was to put, and I'm guessing, right? But my guess is that that's somebody who is coming from Clearwater, based in Florida, and is probably a Sea Org person that's coming up here, right? But
Deceiving the public? Are you here for the human trafficking or are you here for the child abuse? All right, now the org's waking up. Let's get these shades down. Oh, let's see if we've got a fellow walking out here.
we're going to see this guy a lot. He really is stone-faced, and he won't stop to listen to me. He's just going to walk by me 3 or 4 times today.
Just so you know, it's a cult.
He's going to get coffee right now, and we're going to see him 2 more times.
Got the shades coming down again. See, they can't stand up to the light of day. They don't like the public seeing in. That fella, I don't know if he had a disheartening look towards me or if he had a disheartening look towards them. So her husband just went in. Are we here for the human trafficking?
So I don't know what this woman's entering for, but she has bottled
Anything
water,
positive to share about your church?
several supplies.
Are you here for the child trafficking?
I think
the
she's
human
doing a
trafficking,
presentation.
child abuse? What does it for you in this church?
And I'm going to say, right, there's a new, I kind of have a new pattern here, right? I'm asking them a false binary question, right? Are you here for the human trafficking or are you here for the child abuse? Knowing that they could be here for any number of other crimes as well, but it always makes that, every once in a while it's like, oh, well, wait, neither of those is a good decision, so I'm not going to, I don't want to answer that. And a couple of times you'd see people stammer over the idea that they were going to answer and they realized there's no good answer to that question. But yeah, she's going to walk in. No idea what's going on other than she's probably got some a presentation going on there. Now this next part of this video, we're going to see a woman, and as she approached, I could tell she looked at her phone, she looked at the address. She didn't really know that she, like, I could tell this was their first approach of the building.
This is interesting.
So she's got the suitcase there, kind of looking at her phone. Am I at the right place?
So
Right.
somebody just came out with suitcases down the street. I'm curious about the suitcase that's right in front of me.
And now I realize, okay, she is going to go in there, or going to try to go in there.
Just so you understand, it's a human trafficking cult. It's a human trafficking cult.
This is right?
It's a human trafficking cult. So,
I'm not a member.
okay.
She's not a member.
But you're going to support them anyway?
Yeah, my grandson. So it's my grandson.
So,
Okay, I'm going to pause for a second here. You may not have heard what she said. So she said, I'm here for my grandson. I'm not a member. It's my grandson. And then she goes, oh, and I didn't realize I'm on camera, right? So now she's trying to get herself out of my way. But at this point, my thinking is, it's a good thing you're not somebody who supports human trafficking, but it's okay that your grandson supports human trafficking. I don't understand how the rationale works there. She's going to walk over to the other door, and a staff member is going to come out.
So her grandson's here, right? And is her grandson here supporting the cult of Scientology?
And I'll explain to you, you won't be able to hear, I don't think you'll be able to hear the audio of what she's about to say.
Well, wouldn't, Dylan had mentioned that there was no plan.
Get that.
Elron had tried to.
So you see the staff member come out here now? Howdy, Patrick. Great to see you. So the staff members come out, and she's just said, I assume my grandson works here, my grandson should be here, something of that nature, and probably explains what her grandson's name is. And the staff member is all smiling. Oh, it's so nice to meet you, right? And then brings the woman in.
To transition over to.
Now, remember, this is the locked door. So she's very fortunate that somebody came to that door. Now, there might have been somebody watching the cameras.
That I felt like that was a transition plan. Yeah, thank you. Pat and Annie Broker, right? Wasn't that supposed?
Now we're going to see her leave with the grandson. And I know this is a terrible view, and I've got hundreds of pictures of this guy coming in, but this is the really young looking kid. This kid looks like he's maybe 18, 19 years old, very tall, very thin, black hair, very young, boyish face. So now I know that his grandmother's come to visit him. I'm going to take at face value, the grandmother probably isn't a Scientologist, right? I didn't get the impression she was a Scientologist, because she wouldn't have answered the prior questions that way. Right, she wouldn't have been able to, to dissuade myself of saying she would have been proud to be a Scientologist, right? They're going to walk down the street. Now, remember, most of these people, they live right across the street in that black building, the tall black vertical building that you see there on the left-hand side. They're going to walk across the street. They're going to go in there. They're going to drop off the suitcase, and then they're going to come back, right? Let's see.
Aha.
They'll just walk down.
So now we know.
And now
So L. Ron Hubbard said the best way to control people is to.
So now I think you'll recognize this person a little bit more. You've seen him on the channel so many times.
Lie to him. You realize you're being lied to, and you're also lying to others. If you'd like to learn about this child trafficking cult, I can give you more information. I can let you know the proper noun members of people who have been affected by this cult.
Again, now she's going to go in. They're going to tell everybody in there, or everybody in there is going to say, I'm the criminal. I was lying. Nothing that I said was true. Right. I wish that I would have been able to give her a card. Again, I've tried to express to people, I'm not going to block somebody's path and force them to take my card. If they want to take the card, that's great. And that's why I said, I can give you the names of these people. But if somebody's not going to reach out for it, if somebody's not willing to accept it, it's not in my best interest to impose upon them to take this card. So that's kind of what we're going to see there. The last thing we're going to see here is our friend Olga is going to show up, and she is wearing a new uniform. So Olga is one of the people that we see body routing very frequently.
Hi.
She has raised.
Anything positive to share about your church?
She'll approach me, but you notice that, right? She's got the Way to Happiness shirt on there, and that circular emblem is the same whether it's on the white shirt or on this shirt. This shirt is, I don't know, mint green, light green, soft green, something of that nature. But it is different than the white shirt that they used to use. So there's a new element there. And in her arm, on her left arm, is a pile of Way to Happiness pamphlets.
So she's got an armful of Way to Happiness flyers, and you saw she had the Way to Happiness shirt on. Now that green shirt, I haven't seen that green shirt before.
Now, again, she's not going to tell me anything that's good about this church, mostly because there is nothing good about this church, but also they're directly forbidden to talk to me, right? So there's no way that they're ever going to talk to me in the first place. But every time I give them the opportunity to tell me something about their church, they're going to decline to talk about that. All right, let me set up the next video real quick. At that point, the audio starts to fail a little bit worse, and I'm going to just go ahead and go to lunch. And when I come back from lunch, we are for the third time going to be able to pull down the blinds. So I've gone to lunch. I've been away for maybe an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, something of that nature. And again, when I'm not there for a period of time, they get the courage to bring the blinds back up. Right. This is a great day. I get 3 times in one day pulling the blinds down. I always feel good about that.
So we've definitely got
That was a lot of
civilians
hustle
in there.
that we saw the woman come forward with.
This is Chris. How you doing, Chris?
He's dating
Remember, he's
Joe Cicala's youngest daughter. Joe Cicala Jr., who is the father, the guy that owns Dream Exchange.
You know, this is a human trafficking cult, right?
I'll explain to you in a second what's going on here.
This is nothing but a human trafficking cult. Do you have anything positive to share about your church? Nothing positive to share about your church? We're more than happy to hear anything you have positive to say about your church. Is there nothing positive about the cult of Scientology? You have to hide, right? You have to hide from the public. Close the doors. Don't let the public see what you're doing inside the cult. Oh, here's our newest body router. So you've got to hide from the public as your cult, right? You've got to be deceptive. We're blind to the public here.
Howdy, Paul of Scotland. Great to see you. Okay, so we see the guy with the camera, and I'm going to say he is somewhere between a Mark Headley and a Mitch Brisker, right? So there's going to be there's a film going on there, and you saw that there was a line of people that they wanted to give the impression, look at all the people lining up at our doors to come in, right? They're beating down the doors to come in here. So those people were staged to be, they were told, hey, stand there while the filming goes on. Well, they didn't know that I was going to be showing up, and when I show up, I'm kind of disrupting it, and you saw them saying, everybody come in. And I think you heard it on the video. I could hear it very clearly. They wanted to get everybody in very, very quickly. We saw the person who was dressed up in Nation of Islam garb or Muslim Islamic wardrobe, right? Everybody pulled in. The cameraman comes outside, and usually those, if it's Golden Era, I don't know that they would have brought somebody from Golden Era. That might have been a local person. I have seen that person before, though. He filmed for Easter. And he filmed for one other event. I've seen him here for another event as well. So that there's a camera. They're trying to do some filming to create propaganda, right, or false advertising about what this church is. One of the interesting things is, right, he held the door open for that young lady that came in last. She's a very, very new. She's a newer member. She only started showing up in the last month or so. The first day I saw her, she tried to hand off a flyer to somebody on Dearborn Street. I was able to contact the person that she handed it off to, and the person gave me the flyer as soon as I told them it was Scientology that had received that. But so there was something going on at the org yesterday. I can't tell you what it was, but there was filming. There was all kinds of activity there. There were all kinds of people there. So it was rather interesting to see what was going on there. Now we're going to see a person who is a staff member, and I've seen this staff member several times. One of the things that I'm crushed by is he served in the military, and I don't care that he's Scientology right now. I'm going to say, hey, you stood up and you put yourself in harm's way. kudos to you. I will salute you for being a veteran of the armed forces, but I'm still going to mock you for being a Scientologist as well.
Thank you for your service. Is there any reason why you're here for the human trafficking cult? Are you here for the child abusing or the human trafficking? A gentleman had a...
Again, it was very concerning to me, right? We've got, he's a military veteran. Yeah, I think that you're absolutely correct here, Patrick, right? That was a publicity stunt, period, right? And again, we saw, I'm being descriptive here. I am not being in any way pejorative. The man in back was of Asian descent. We saw the black female in the Islamic Muslim wardrobe, right? So look, we're a DEI. We're a very a welcoming of people of all shapes, sizes, and colors in this space, but absolutely false advertising in regards to what's going on. And then, yeah, Paul, you're right. Yeah, this is true. And in the States, you've got the same thing, right? You can't stop somebody from walking. So one of the things you'll always see me is that I will always make sure that even if I'm seeing a crowd of people or if I'm talking to several people that are on the sidewalk, I will ask them to move towards me to make sure that there is always plenty of room for people to pass by, right? I never want to get accused of blocking the door. I never want to get accused of blocking the sidewalk for them. So it's just another one of the things. Don't give them another attack surface in that point, or to come after you in those situations. But it just felt like, by the way, I felt good about this, right? That I'm disrupting. They're spending money, and whether or not it's hours, time, investment, effort, maybe they're paying the cameraman, a living wage. Who knows in that situation, right? Brisker did very, very well working for Scientology, and again, I'm not knocking Brisker for making money working for Scientology, but he was different than a typical Sea Org member, right? He was Sea Org, but he also got paid a very good salary to produce films for that. Let's see here. What else did we see there? Not much else there. This one, we've seen this member many times. So he's going to approach, you notice he's got a cigarette there. He's pulled the phone because
Remember, you
he's
got
got
to
to go
keep smoking to avoid that cancer, right? That's the L. Ron Hubbard way. People don't die of smoking cigarettes. They die because they don't smoke enough cigarettes, right? That's your stupid leader's belief.
The guy walking towards us, we're going to find out he's a public that's about to walk in.
Anything positive to share about your church? Is there nothing positive about the cult of Scientology? Are you here for the human trafficking or the child abuse?
Yeah, again, just another, a public comes in and an opportunity for anybody in Scientology to promote Scientology, right? L. Ron Hubbard, keep Scientology working, keep promoting, promote. But what are they doing? They're hiding. Hiding is down tone, right? Hey, Rachel, thanks for coming in. Awesome to see you. Patrick, this is great. Thanks for reminding everybody of this. And my expectation is that Alex is all over this. My hope is that I haven't been watching Alex lately, but hopefully Alex Barnes over there in the UK is aware of this and ready to, again, he gave them one heck of a hard time last year when they had this event. Wow. It's been a year already. That's wow. All right. Let's see. What do we got next? Oh, we're also going to see another, I think real quickly, we're going to see an older black guy approach.
Person was public.
He's trying to read it, right? He's trying to read this sign and he's confused. He's asking me a question.
Excuse me?
The Illinois Department of Public Aid located in this building.
So this is the Church of Scientology. They're a cult, a human trafficking cult. You definitely don't want to ever go in there.
No, I don't. Thank you.
Yes, yes. And I wish that they would do something nice for the city, right? That
It's
it's
almost
never been an
disbelief when you look
organization
at
that
it.
housed the unhoused, closed the unclosed, fed the unfed. They just want money. It's a human trafficking, child abusing, money hungry organization. Yeah. I have talked to the alderman. You know, I just think it's
So he says to me, "Hey, you should talk to the alderman." I like this guy, right? And you know, I'm going to see him a couple more times through the video, and we have a couple of chats. But again, I'm always out there trying to help people understand who this neighbor in their neighborhood is. Next, let's see here. This one, the gentleman in the pink, and his wife is the woman in the black. I don't know if it's a dress with. It doesn't look like she has pants and a dress on. It's interesting. Hey, style audit. Let's rate this woman here, right? But about, I'm going to say a month ago, and folks, I understand time is fluid. That when I talk about this, but Corn Freak was out there, and she was putting chalk down, and I think she was putting one of the Dianetics passage about the 7-year-old girl who should not feel strange when a man kisses her, when a grown man kisses her in an adult way. And he looked at her and he said, "Wow, you look like you could use some more Scientology." And then he said he had asked a question. I think the question he asked originally was, "What's wrong with Scientology?" And my statement was, "Nothing if you're okay with human trafficking and child abuse." And his statement was, "Well, I've got a child and they've never been abused." And my response was, "Oh, well, if your child hasn't been abused, then it's okay to abuse other children, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's fine." And then he walked in. And later on, we saw him, you know, he walked away from the org. I actually saw him later on. There was some event going on State Street that I saw him at. And then he came back to the org later on and again had this just DICK ish attitude about, "Hey, human trafficking's fine. What are you worried about?" type thing. And by the way, the audio sucks here, so I'll let it play. I'll try to keep my mouth shut. You know, I really can't do that. But I'm going to ask him a question, and his answer again is just as repulsive as every other statement he's ever answered for us.
yeah. We're gonna go to the. We're here. Are you here for the child trafficking or the human trafficking? Okay.
So I'm not sure if you heard that, and I could tell that my audio was low, but I had asked him, "Are you here for the human trafficking or for the child abuse?" And his response was both, right? Just an evil person to the core, right? The idea that it's okay and it's fun to joke about child trafficking and it's fun to joke about the harm that this church levels on its victims, right? Yeah, Rachel, you're absolutely correct there, right? You know, I just don't know any other people. And again, he had a skill that Miscavige needed and that probably just didn't exist in Scientology. So, you know, it's understandable why he made such a good living there. And again, I don't begrudge him. It was his skill set. He thought he was doing good. Again, I consider most of these people to be victims. This guy, I don't consider to be a victim. He's just a jackalope, period. So again, we've seen him just a terrible curmudgeon. Don't like him at all. I don't think anything else happened on this particular session, except we had a lot of bad audio. Howdy, Kenny. Thanks for coming in. Great to see you. All right, I'm going to take this off screen. I'm going to show you something. I don't know if I can give you the audio because I only have the camera footage. I don't have, it didn't show up on YouTube. Let me go ahead and bring this up. I'm going to do a stop screen, present screen, share screen, window, this, share. All right. I don't know if so. This gentleman, we've seen him several times on Saturdays bring his daughter. His daughter is the girl in yellow. I'm going to guess she's 9, 10 years old, right? Hey, Adam. Great to see you. Yeah, style. And it's even worse than entitled, right? He's just effing evil, right? So this guy, we've seen several times. He's come and he's dropped his daughter off. So we've seen the girl several times. More often than not, what he's going to do is he's going to open that door and he's going to let go of the girl, and the girl's going to go in, and he doesn't really take the girl into the org. So the girl knows how to get around the org, and I'm pretty sure he's a married couple. So he and his wife are both Scientologists, and that this is basically them handing the child off, right, back and forth in this situation. I don't know if you'll see it on here, and I thought on the live we actually caught this, and it might have been when I was fumbling around with bad audio and stuff like that. But you're going to see the girl go in. You might see. I think that he's also got a son, or at least there was another child that was in his care this day. So let me see if we can go ahead and play this forward. Yeah, sorry. Let me see if I can. So we're seeing him go in with the daughter, and then we're seeing this young boy right behind. The boy is older than the girl, obviously, or I would say, I'm not a scientist and I have no evidence, but he looks like he's older. But again, it's a child. Children cannot consent, right? Isn't this what Laura and Serge and everybody in Scientology continually talks about, the idea that children can't consent, and the idea, oh, no harm, no foul. These people are just getting a little education here. No, they're being indoctrinated. Their childhood is being stolen from them. There's a later on in the day, I walk away from the org and we just talk for an hour. We talk with the audience, and Laura FM was there, and we talked about this, about the idea that stolen childhood is precious, right? When I was a child, there were neighborhood friends, and we went and played baseball, and we went and played football, and we did things that got ourselves in trouble, right? We'd have snowball fights. We'd go steal a pack of gum, right? You went through the typical child ritual elements. We went through detention. We got in trouble in school, right? We were smart alecks. We'd shoot spitballs, all of those fun things. But it's an important part of being a child. These people are going to have such a jaded impression and biased impression, and Scientology is going to feel normal to them, right? That's the most scary thing about this, is the idea that everything that these children will see from this point forward is going to feel like a normal or normative activity. Just like you and I went to school, we got nervous about asking somebody to the first dance. We got nervous about going to a prom. We got nervous about a speech. We got nervous about graduation. We worried about, are we going to get into the right college, or are we going to go to the right trade school? Are we going to find the right job? All of those kinds of things. These kids are never going to have that. And I'm always amazed by the former Scientologists that also didn't have this. When you think about, well, Aaron had a fairly regular education. Nora didn't, right? And Laura, she didn't have a regular education, but she found a way to be successful outside of this. The thing that the plus side of Scientology, they're hard workers. They'll follow instructions, right? Who doesn't want that in your workforce? But they're typically not creative, free thinkers. And it's a learned muscle once they escape from Scientology to get back to that. So I did want to show this as well. And folks, I've always reminded you that I've got a body camera with me. And the reason I have the body camera with me is, I oftentimes can get, I can actually hear the vocals locally. I just can't play the vocals through to StreamYard on this. I can put this in a video, and I will put it in a video. But it's also a protective measure for myself. So this idea that this is always running and it's there on my space. Guard card for security. So is this that in order to work on a security force, you need to take classes or you need certification in order to do that? All right. Let me kill that and let's get to the next stream real quick. Oh, I got to stop sharing that. All right. That was the 32-minute fella. Let me present that now. This is Nino Aquino, N-E-N-O Aquino, A-Q-U-I-N-O. Sorry. Let's let him approach the org.
Anything positive to share about the church today, Nino? Nothing positive about the cult of Scientology?
Now, on this one,
Folks,
we're
sorry, we're
not
having
going
so
to see
much
too
trouble
much,
here.
and I'm going to struggle with the audio quite a bit. So I don't know if you heard those students, but when I said I'm protesting, they said, as you should, right? Ah, one moment. I realized that I'm an idiot. I'm so happy you guys are patient with me. So here's Nino entering the church.
No. Nothing positive about the cult of Scientology?
Nino's got nothing good to say about his church.
Folks, sorry, we're having so much trouble here.
What are you doing?
I'm protesting the church of Scientology. I'm anti-human trafficking, anti-child abuse.
Yeah, so these were the students, right? As they came by, what are you doing? And then I just said, right, I'm protesting Scientology. Not a big fan of human trafficking and child abuse. Folks, if you get a chance to, come back to this chat and let's see here. I don't know how well this works. If you go to that chat at about 41 minutes, I'm just going to leave the org. I need to do things for the rest of the day, right? I have a family. I want to go be with my family for a bit. And I just walk away from the org and we chat for a while. And it's just a great discussion. I enjoyed the discussion. You may find that you enjoyed the discussion as well. Again, we heard a lot from Dylan. We heard a lot from Laura FM. All right. And one of the things that they had picked up on, some of you may or may not know, my partner is South African. And on my first visit to South Africa, we were driving down the road and there was a giraffe on the side of the road. And I said, oh my gosh, look, there's a giraffe. And they said, yep, and kept driving. I was like, wait, you don't understand. When I was a child, we didn't have giraffes. You're very used to giraffes. Can we please stop and see the giraffe? Right. But it triggered something in Lara, just that idea of, right, the things that many of us never ins find normal or what we saw in our childhood are very, very foreign to most Scientologists, especially when you're talking about somebody who was born into Scientology, that they do not have the same childhood experiences that we do. So if you feel at all inclined, I would encourage you to watch that. Let's see, there's probably, well, let's see, we're at 40 minutes and it goes up to an hour and 30. So there's 50 minutes of that kind of conversation, and we talk about some of my non-Scientology history and things about me. But for the most part, I'm trying to respond to the chat that we see in that space. All right, I've got one more today for many of you. If you don't recall, today was the Chicago Marathon. And this morning, a friend of mine and I, we got on our bicycles and we biked the entire course. We were about an hour ahead of the actual wheelchair competitors and the runners, so we stayed ahead of everything, and we were able to just bike the whole course. So that was rather enjoyable. Well, after I got done with that, we went over to go celebrate with many of our friends. I've got plenty of friends who are still runners, and they had competed in the marathon, and we went to have just a celebration with them. And when we went, or on my way to that celebration, I decided I am going to head past the org. So, yeah, you can see I'm on my bicycle. I've got my bicycle parked there out in front, and we're going to go. We're going to go bring the blinds down. Yeah, Paul, you're right. That's exactly what this idea that there's something here that I've never seen before, and it's interesting to me, right? For my partner, if we go out west, bison are not native to the African continent. So when she sees bison, wow, that's interesting. That's new. We don't have those. They don't have wolves, right? They do have wild dogs, but they don't have wolves. They don't have bears there. So I get to lord something over their head. Adam, please join us on Tuesday. I'm going to have Lara FM on the channel, and we're gonna just chat. I like having conversations more so than saying interviews, but let's talk about protesting. Let's talk about how you grew up, what your experience was. Something that I learned in that I talked about that chat, that conversation that we had in the last hour of yesterday. One of the things that I found out is that not only is her mother and father still in Scientology, but she's got uncles and aunts in there. So she had a very large family in Scientology. All right. This is a couple of minutes, right? But again, whenever I get a chance to, and when I told you earlier, all you have to do is drive past the org with a camera, and they're going to bring the blinds down. They will. Right now, it's scheduled for 8 Central, but if that doesn't work for her, we might do it another way. So it'll be 6 p.m. California time. And again, I don't know if that works for Laura, but we'll figure that out. Yeah, that bison are very rare today, and that most of the bison that are in America today are actually European bison that have been immigrated in. They have found some legacy DNA, and they try to inject and infuse that into the herds that are here. But yeah, but the bison were killed for sport, right? Buffalo Bill Cody and Wild Bill, they were buffalo hunters, and the pelt was something that was important. But you would see them just stack up pelts like they're not called pictures. It was the tinoscope, I think is what it was, something of that nature, where it was an engraved image. But you would see just these piles of fur or pelts from the bison, because that was what was valuable to the Americans and the Europeans, and the carcasses were laid to waste. The Native Americans were very, very good sustenance farmers. So when they would take an animal, they would use everything. The bowstring of bow and arrow is the tendon of these animals, right? The food was eaten, the hooves were used for things, so they were very, very good about that. Adam, very well played. I like that. All right, let's watch our this afternoon. We decided to go visit the org real quick.
These blinds down. So again, this is the woman that was from Florida. And sorry if you're not hearing me that well. I don't have my mic with me, but this is the woman from Florida. There's one person in the cafeteria. There's a new easel up here. I'm not sure what that easel's for. So we can tell that she's not happy.
She didn't give me yawn tech, and she doesn't smile. She doesn't wave at me. I tried to wave
So
to
the
her.
cult of Scientology is bringing the shades down because the cult doesn't like being seen by people in the light of day. Just going to do a quick drive-by here. Hey, Janelle, how are you? So again, Scientology just can't keep the shades down. I think that this person got into the car with the Florida license plates yesterday. And again, if it's Florida license plates, then probably Sea Org. Again, this is a quick little element. I was cheering on friends in the Chicago Marathon.
Love it, right? It takes no effort for me to get those blinds down. I really, really like that. I do want to, yeah, this is a great point, Paul, that, so I'm not positive that's a true statement. There are certain people that are former Scientologists and they are active. That Tori, very active. Laura's out there quite a bit. Who else? I'm going to say Eric Rader, right, is active, but he'll even tell you it's uncomfortable for him to be near the org because it brings up memories, right? These are not good. Nobody has pleasant memories. Oh, the days. I think that there's some stories about Reese saying recently that she enjoyed her time or she understood her time in Scientology, but there are very few people that say, "Oh, for the good old days of Scientology." There are no formers that I hear talking about that very often. So yeah, I think it's true that they're good supporters of, but they tend not to be the people that are on the front line. And by the way, I don't fault them for that by any means because it's a scar. Natalie was one that said, right, it's very challenging for Natalie to be near the orgs, right? She has to push herself to do that, to be at the org. Now, what I will say is that many of the former Scientologists are very good about going around to the channels that are protesting and just saying hi. And I want to tell you that when I see a former Scientologist saying hi or thanks or good job, it makes me feel so good because the reason that I'm out there is to give voice to their suffering, right? And I really, really do appreciate that. I think that L. Ron Hubcult was a Scientologist, but I don't think that Scientology up north was. But boy, they're a fantastic duo. To be able to listen to the two of them in that space. Hey, Jules, thanks for being here. You never miss anything. We just do it again. Play it all over again. All right. You know what? If anybody feels any questions, right? Any criticisms, I will tell you that since I'm going to be moving away from Chicago, I'm going to have to do more panel work. Now, I'm still going to support the protesters. So I'm going to report, or I'm going to support Eric Rader. I'm going to support Cubs champion out there. I'm going to support MD Media. I'm going to support everybody. And I feel bad when I start listing off names because if I exclude somebody reads into that. And there is nothing to read into it. If you're against Scientology, I'm with you, right? So I want you to know that, right? Yeah, Jules, it's 100% that, right? That's definitely something that I just feel good about. And when I hear the stories of a former Scientologist, um, I want to get people out of Scientology so that they don't suffer that way. But I've always felt that wouldn't it be better that they never suffer, right? Wouldn't it be better that somebody doesn't enter the Church of Scientology or the cult of Scientology in that space? So um, that I just think that I want to help people not fall prey to Scientology. Adam, I'm going to be moving away from Chicago. Now, I will tell you that I've got many friends, I've got family that still lives here in Chicago. I will be back here very frequently. It's a plane ride away. I can get here. I want to come and see my friends from time to time. I will still have business requirements that bring me back to Chicago. So I will be up here for that. And I assure you that every time I'm in the city, you're going to see me out in front of that org. I want to do whatever I can to help support the people that still are the protesters here in Chicago, right? Corn Freak, Juanita, Heligear, Nance Drew, right? Hopefully, when Nance Drew gets through the court proceedings, she'll be able to be out there on the street. Right now, she's still able to do panels, so that's great. Style Audit 1A, Free Xenu Project comes down so often. I think that Trashy V12 BMW is going to head back. So again, that is going to be a great add to the lineup when we think about that. I'm not leaving the anti-Scientology movement, right? So I'll do whatever I can to continue to pester and be a thorn in the side of Scientology. I just don't like their deceptive practices. I don't like their false advertising. One of the things that I talked to another protester about is that the aldermen are trying to pass an ordinance that says if you're a charitable organization that is backed by somebody else, anytime that we talk about that charitable organization, very quickly you have to tell me who the backing organization is. So what that would mean is that when you're out there telling me about the way to happiness, you have to say that it's backed by Scientology. So it's like truth in advertising. I don't know if that's the right thing to call it, but the truth in advertising process. Yeah, Patrick, I'm going to be sad about this as well. I'll still be out there whenever I can. It's just that I won't be out there as often as I want to be, right? And I 100% agree with this, Jewel, that it's going to be. I would be thrilled to see Trashy back out there, SRA back out there, and I think just before SRA left, that he might have changed his channel name. I'm not positive. One thing that I'm not really giving the time frame for when I'm leaving. I will tell you that it's going to be rather quickly, and I'm not really announcing where I'll be headed to because there is no org where I'm at. But I will assure you that I am going to pop out in front of orgs across the nation. So we'll have that. And don't forget, this December, I will be in South Africa. And I don't know if we saw any, it's Dark 30 in South Africa right now. But when I'm in Pretoria, I think that we'll be out there with Greg Nietsky, Lady E, several others that are out there in that space. So what else do we have? What can I help you with? What stories would you like to make up? Who would you like to see on the channel? Again, I want to have Laura on the channel. I want to talk to Phil. I've always enjoyed Phil Jones. I love Phil Jones's demeanor. I want to have him on here. Serge Delmar and I are going to do a show on the children. All of the children that I see walk into Scientology, whether it be Easter, whether it be some of the people we saw that would stay there late at night, right? We saw back in the day when Trashy and I were there together, we'd see several kids in there at that point. Hey, Greg, how you doing? Shouldn't you be asleep, Greg? Yeah, you're right, Adam. I'll be more mobile. Um, the Dylan, I want to do a show with Dylan, right? I think Dylan has an incredibly good perspective in regards to his days in Scientology. Wait, you found it was hot in South Africa? Although one of the things that I like about going to South Africa in December is it is vacation season for South Africans, because it's winter for us, but it's summer for them. So things are warming up quite a bit there right now in South Africa. Um, who else do you think it'd be valuable, or would you like to hear me have a conversation with in regards to Scientology, right? And again, I'm not going to get into it about the backbiting and anything that's going on back channels. I don't care about. I have no interest in anything that isn't anti-Scientology. So I like to hear from Nora. I think that Nora, yeah, you're right. Eric Rader. I'd love to have Eric Rader, Cubs champion. Gregory, when you tell an American that it's high 30s, we think that it's very cold out. You guys have that fake temperature measurement system over there. Marina, yeah, I definitely want to have Eric Rader on there, right? I think that I still owe you another interview with Israel in regards to that. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. That would happen. Now, something else that's challenging in South Africa is their infrastructure has degraded quite a bit. Yeah, I'm going to say that I think they fail at the regular maintenance in regards to what's going on. So they have what's called load shedding, and what that means is that freedom units. I love that. But there is a hilarious YouTube short out there about the founding fathers. That the most important thing about them creating a new country is so that they can get away from that metric, and they could talk about the different the units of measure, and how absurd those units of measures are. But Alex, that's another great call, right? But I just think that I'm going to have to, if I want the channel to survive, I think I'm going to have to do more interviews. So Alex, I think that's a great get as well. My hope is that Pearl and Selfless come through whatever the court battles are there. Jay would be great to, I'd love to have a conversation with Jay. Jay was always somebody who I liked, just him as a person, or at least how he came across as a person in that space. So definitely want to do that. I think that Declared Dave and I need to get me to OT8, right? I think that I'm only at OT5 at this point in time. So I've got a little bit more studying to do to get up there. I will tell you that I've been looking at a few articles, and there's some information. Yeah, you know what? I like just having that chat with Perth. I want to have conversations with Cheryl, Lori Plays. Just really, I like their energy, right, and who they are. Yeah. Yes. Right. It's a good point that it's sort of like in America, we fix the economy before the elections, and there we make sure that we have electricity before the elections. Jackson, yes, Jackson Moorhead, right? Mindy, right? Some of the other protesters. What happened to Dan Walks? Did he get chased off the scene? Right? That's a shame. That's some of those people were kind of chased off. I don't really have the inroads to Chris, Jessica, Streets. I'd love to chat with them. Don't know if I can get that to happen. Danny is somebody who I think I could talk to. He and I have talked behind the scenes several times. So yeah. And I want to think about other formats, and when I think about other formats, what that really is the idea that can I do information videos, right? Similar to what Aaron does. And I'm not trying to say, hey, I want to be the second coming of Aaron, but the idea that when we're seeing news stories or when we're seeing people show up in the news, wouldn't that be interesting? Yes, for now, it's just going to be visiting South Africa. Usually, I like to make sure that we get back there every other year, just because the vast majority of one of our families is over there. So it's basically a chance for a battery recharge. What I will say is that I would not be against retiring to South Africa. It just becomes an incredibly affordable mechanism with an American pension. So we'll see what happens there. But I'll be in Africa for about 3 weeks. So what else do we have here? Yeah, it was really amazing. So for those of you that don't know, and by the way, Gregory, fix all of the errant things I'm about to say. Jan Smuts, which by the way, I've been to his house. His house is kind of a museum there. He was kind of a tactician, battle person. I think that he was was it Boers Wars? Or was he he might have been World War One. So he was a military hero, and his name is revered in South Africa. And then Cecil Rhodes, he was an activist, but eventually I felt like most South Africans got tired of him and they shipped him north to, there's a country that is now called Zimbabwe, but used to be called Rhodesia. And if you noticed, Rhodes and Rhodesia are fairly similar. The most of the South Africans kind of shipped him northwards. He got to run his own little country up there in Rhodesia for a while. But these were, again, they were just well revered. Well, they were important profile history folk. Yeah, Janice, I've talked with Janice, and I want to do a little bit of a conversation before I go to South Africa. I want to see if I can have her on and say, hey, what should I go see? What should I go do in that space? And I like Mark too, but I'm going to say that Mark is the steady. He's kind of like me. I think that I've got a flat tone, right? I'm not overly excitable or anything like that. Janice, I just think is really a treasure to work with. Yeah, there's somebody else who I really value the knowledge that Claire has, right? Mark too, but Mark is more on the technical side and on the AV audiovisual side, and that just doesn't appeal to me. But I've always enjoyed listening to Claire do that. So I would love to see if we could work on, wow, let's find a bunch of people that are against Scientology and see if we can bring them all back together. I don't mean to think that, oh, cool, I'm going to be the glue that solves the problems in anti-Scientology, but yeah. Okay, so yeah, right. He was the general in the Boer War. And I felt that he always had some kind of special relationship in England too. Like maybe whether it was ambassadorship or something of that nature that was going on between Smith, which I can't. Is it Smits? Like or is it Smuts? I just can't remember that his name. I felt like it's pronounced differently than it looks. There probably are several other Scientology, whether they be missions or orgs in South Africa, but I think that the Continental Liaison, or so if we think about it, that um, in California, you've got the CLO for North America. In Denmark, you've got the CLO for Europe. In Africa, in South Africa, you've got the CLO for Africa. But it's very likely that there are other African countries that have that. Yeah, that's and Janice, she stood next to L. Ron Hubbard. She was a messenger. Her and Scobie, right? Scobie was one of those original messengers, right? Who was on the ship with L. Ron Hubbard. And, it's interesting. Sometimes when I listen to Janice, she's somebody who I think does miss the days of Scientology, but I feel that she was a true believer of the tech. But I'm putting words in her mouth. That's what it appears to me. I'd much rather she answer that question. But I got the impression that it was much more that David Miscavige was more the reason why they didn't want to be in Scientology anymore. Yeah, I know Midrand. I don't understand the Bulawayo, so no idea where that's at. Yeah, that's kind of the I got that same impression. Right. And Patrick, yeah, that Amy and Janice were both in that original crew of the messengers. And that had to be just a bizarre thing, right? This idea that it felt like they were the Moseses that God speaks to Moses, Moses speaks to people. And in that paradigm, LRH speaks to Janice, LRH speaks to Amy, and then Amy and Janice go off to all the orgs and say, well, here's what LRH said, right? I would love to dig more into those stories and have that. Yeah, that's very possible. I would definitely do that. There are some places in South Africa that I feel very, very comfortable. And there's places in South Africa where I've got to have my head on a swivel. Like I will tell you that one day, and my wife was very upset with me. I took the train to the middle of Pretoria, and I walked from the train station, which I think it's maybe called the Rand or Paul Kruger train station there in Pretoria, and I walked from Pretoria through the market area to the Union buildings, and many people tried to stick their hand in my pocket and do some pickpocketing stuff there. So again, there was nothing ill came of it, but yeah, I definitely will have gear with me. But Greg, more than happy to have you out there. Howdy, Elron. Great to see you. We were talking about you and what a great dynamic duo you and Scientology up north are. Yeah, I definitely will film those. I don't know whether or not I'll do it live. Again, I don't want to hem up any of my my family and friends in South Africa, so more likely that it'll be delayed. But I will get as much footage as possible of both the Pretoria area and there's a couple others. Right, you've got the castle there. The castle starts with a K. It feels like it's got a Japanese name, but that's not a Japanese name. What's the castle, Gregory? It's kind of out in the woods there. Hey, Corn Freak, welcome in. Love your new icon or emoji. What else do we have here? Gotcha. Norwood is there in Joburg. Yeah, thank you. Kailami. And that's, if you go to Google and look at that Kyalami, you can, I don't know if you've ever been on Google Maps, but you know how you can drop the little golden man on the map. If you look at that Kyalami castle, it you can drop the man in there. And, well, let's see. Let's do that again. It's fun. Oh, when you said Midrand, that's what it was. Yep. Let's see here. Present. Share a screen. Share that screen. Do that. And oh, I could have sworn. There it is. So when you drop the little person there in the Kyalami Castle, you get to see that it's the Advanced Organization in St. Hill, Africa. So AOSH, right? Yeah, and I remember that, right, there's a, let me see if I can get the, oh, I think I've got to do it here. You can see that this is what I would consider like a Formula One track or a road course, right? Ah, style out. I didn't know that. I would strongly encourage, but by the way, the flight to South Africa from America, it's long. I would, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Stay. I want to stop that. Flying to South Africa from the States, it's a long flight. If you have the means, I would strongly encourage you go to Europe, spend a weekend, and then maybe fly down to South Africa. So you've got 2 8-hour or 2 10-hour trips rather than a 16 to 18-hour trip to go down there. But once you get there, the vast majority of people are incredibly nice and kind. They're very welcoming. You'll find that your dollar is very strong there, right? So you can see so many things. If you have a friend who is a South African, you can get local prices or they'll direct you to local prices. If you have a chance to go see a safari, I would strongly encourage that, right? You're going to see animals that we just don't see here in the States. So that's some cool stuff. That's awesome, Greg. Corn, what are you doing repeating yourself here? All right. Now, Afrikaans is, it's not overly challenging. I will say that what I struggle with and my partner hates, that when you have double vowels in Afrikaans, there are different, every letter has a sound. And if there's 2 letters, they have a different sound, but it's, you get to, you say all the letters, or you pronounce all the letters. This would be cool. Now, what I would struggle with is that usually when you're on safari, you're probably not near strong enough internet network in order to do that. But I would definitely go ahead and do the static stream of it and then upload it at home or when I got back to civilization there. Yeah, that's another one, right? The Hawaiians. It's like, oh, come on, now you're just making up sounds. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, and that makes sense, right? That they want to bring as many foreign dollars into the country as they possibly could. Makes perfect good sense. Uh, the other thing that I'll say is that there are some ethnic enclaves in South Africa. So, like on the over by Durban, you're going to see people who are emigrated from India and the Asian continent over there. So you'll see higher Asian foods and higher occurrences of Indian food there. The Portuguese, again, that the Portuguese slash Brazilians, right? The Portuguese were some of the earliest sailors, and they would sail around down there. So they've got that down there. Um, that you can get incredibly good food when you're in South Africa. And I probably mentioned this before that the the medical system in South Africa and um, I'm not trying to be political here in any way, but during apartheid, South Africa was shunned and kind of isolated, so they had to become self-sufficient. If you think about it, the world's first open heart surgery took place in South Africa, right? So they've got many medical firsts, and they're highly touted for their expertise in the medical profession. Howdy, Haggis. Great to see you. Hey, if you guys keep on showing up, I might keep on talking. There, so the uh, the other thing that is a staple in, and I think that we've talked about this before, but Gregory, tell us about Rusk. Rusk is a some of us might have biscotti, and it's similar to that, but it's a morning stale bread that you would typically have with your tea or your coffee. More often than not, South Africans would have tea, but tea or coffee. Um, but it's funny that every family makes the best Rusk. There must be 8 million great recipes for Rusk because every single family has the best, if you ask anybody. But yes, I would love to have a meal with you. And if you're willing, I'd love to have a barley soda with you just the same. A good Windhoek. What's the other one? What's Castle? Something Castle. So Windhoek is from the country to the northwest of Africa, and something Castle is another beer that it's just so common that you get there. Haggis, we did all of the great things. So some of I would say the highlights are Lara FM and I are going to have a stream Tuesday evening. Right now it's tentatively for 8 p.m. Central, if that works out for her. So it'll be 6 p.m. On the West Coast. And just chat about, it's a never end talking to a former. And again, many of you have already heard, but I'm not long here for Chicago. I'll come back and visit, but I'll be moving away from Chicago soon, and I'll probably have to be a little bit more of a panelist than a live protester, but I will do that. Yeah, one of the funniest things, the very first time that I was in South Africa, um, so on South Africa, on the southern coast, they call it the Garden Route, but it happens to be one of the world's best places to grow hops. And hops is at least in IPAs, but in many beers, hops is a sought after ingredient, and different kinds of hops give different flavor profiles. So there's a great deal of competition for the hops that come out of South Africa. And the very first time that I was in South Africa, we went to a bar, and I noticed that the prominent beer that they had was something called Brewdog, and Brewdog has they've got a South African beverage, SAB, South African beverage, has a distillery there that makes a brewery there that makes Brewdog, but Brewdog also is brewed here in Chicago. So it was like, wait, you guys have a Chicago beer here, and it turns out that no, Chicago has a South African beer. She absolutely does. Howdy, Ricky. That's a new name. Good to see it. Thanks for joining us. Botswana is right. There are two countries to the west of Africa, Namibia, I think, and Botswana. And since I have the Googly Maps up, I guess there's a way I could figure that out much easier. Okay, so Botswana is really more directly north of. I was close to Botswana. A couple of years ago, we went to Pilanesberg. We went to had safari at Pilanesberg, and that was where I finally saw the leopard. I had not seen the leopard in my prior visits. The leopard being one of the rarest of the big five. And what I really found very enjoyable about that is we went on a foot safari with two guides. Sorry, and when you go on a foot safari out in the wild, by the way, they're not caged animals. You're the foreigner when you go to the game reserve, and in the in the game reserve, there's a guy in front of you with a high powered rifle, and there's a guy behind you with a high powered rifle. And your hope is that they get to the animal before the animal gets to you. So here you go again with these fictitious units. What's a KM? We don't get that. Something that I was surprised by, Pilanesberg, I don't know what the name of the little lake in the middle of Pilanesberg is. By the way, Pilanesberg is like it's in a volcano. So it was a hot spot at one point in time. And so it's a depression inside of a hollowed out volcano. And there's a lake in the middle of that. But near that lake, there are so many cheetah, and cheetahs seem to be more social. Leopards are very solitary. Cheetah are very social. And whenever we go by that water, it would be astounding to see how many cheetah would be there. So Gregory, this makes me feel good. You're right. I don't have to outrun the cheetah. I just have to outrun the people that are with me. And if you're on crutches, I feel good about that. Let me see if I can pull up Pilanesberg on here. And we'll share some camera again. There's a couple of things that are going to be kind of interesting here. And some of you that are here in the States are going to recognize this, but this circular area, and again, it's an old volcano. Who knows? Maybe there were thetans blown up in here and hydrogen bombs and all. But if you look at the bottom here, you've got Sun City. And this is a Del Webb Sun City, just like we have in Arizona and in Florida and across the United States. And I think there's a big casino down there too. So this down here is very resorty, I guess is the way that I would say it. And then, right, you've got the golf courses there and all that fun stuff. And then when you drive into the park, it's pretty wild stuff, right? They do have, is it Buckabong? Yeah. So we stayed here, and this looks like a hotel. So this is, yeah, I would say this is a Western experience when you come in here. Yeah, you've got the pool there. There are this is kind of the social area of the hotel. There's a fence line right here because on the other side of this fence line, that's the wild space. That's where the animals go. The humans stay over here. But you will get little monkeys that are in this area, and they'll come into your space. But down here, sometimes you'll see rhino down here, which is pretty cool. So, but it's like this horseshoe-shaped little resort there. And then every morning you head into the park, and all this stuff is where the animals get to play. And this is that lake in the middle that I was talking about. So Manquay Dam, I guess. It's a phenomenal place. If you ever get a chance to, I'm telling you, go to South Africa when you get the chance to. All right, how many more directions can we go with tonight's stream? What else do you want to know about? Hey, 86. I see you. Not sure I've got much else to share. So, by the way, today, right, it was kind of a surprise that I went past the org. If you're subscribed, please hit your notifications. That'll let you know when I'm in front of the org. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, just another thing that I'll try and talk to Janice about. Thanks, Patrick. This Tuesday, we'll be live with Lara. Tomorrow, I will probably be at the org at lunchtime. So I'll be out there protesting. Yesterday, again, the big events were we saw the grandmother whose grandson was in Scientology, and she was able to claim that, hey, since I'm not in Scientology, it's okay that they do child trafficking, right? It's my grandson that has to worry about that. I'm just here for my grandson. And we also saw the couple that was okay with both human trafficking and child abuse, that they come for both of those things. So that's awesome. And yeah, thanks. Please follow Jules' instructions. If you found any entertainment tonight, please hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. If you didn't like this, please hit the dislike button at least twice. I would really appreciate that as well. I think that's kind of all I've got for tonight. Do we have anybody? Let's see if we've got anybody out there in SPTV Nation. Let me see. Can we send Jules? Can we send everybody over to Jacob? Hey, you can't spoil all my fun, Private Ross. And I like that I think this is the first time that I've seen your name in here. So thank you for chiming in. And were you looking for the dislike button? I feel bad now. But thanks for joining us, Private Ross. Really appreciate that. 86 GOP, definitely appreciate your support and all you've done for me. So thank you for that. Let's head over, show Jacob some love. And as Jules has suggested, let's let him know that we sent you. I appreciate everybody being here tomorrow. I probably will be back tomorrow in the lunchtime hour out there thwarting the efforts of Scientology. Thank you all. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
We won't let